Hello everybody, welcome to our UW Esports Game of the Week featuring matches from our favorite UW Esports team. Today we're going to be featuring our Rocket League team as they take on the University of Minnesota in week 3 of the PlayVS League. For those of you who don't know, our esports program seeks to build and foster community, open doors to the vast career opportunities in the field of gaming, and promote the virtues of healthy competition, something we can all use a little bit of coming out of a pretty hard year. Through esports, we're able to form a lot of communities. We're allowed to communicate with each other and express ourselves in a way that you don't often see in more traditional forms of media. So I think it's really great, and I know you guys think so too. We hope you enjoy being a part of our community, and we invite you to get more involved. You can do so on this Twitch channel right here, in our Discord. There's a command in the chat for that, as well as on our socials, which are at U of Wa Esports. Now, to introduce ourselves, my name is Andrew. I also go by Roha, and I am a senior in informatics. I'll be one of your casters for the night.
And I'm Caleb, otherwise known as Hydra K9, and I'm a freshman in the engineering college. I'm going to be your second caster for the night.
Yeah, so I don't know much about the University of Minnesota. I know that all 3 players are Supersonic Legends, which for those of you who don't know is the highest rank in the game, and I believe higher than most of the players on our UW team. So it should be a pretty tough match for them going forwards.
Yeah, I mean, I also do not know very much at all, just about as much as you do, and that is a very intimidating thing to be facing as the UW team. I don't know if... Do we have any SSLs on our team? I'm not 100% certain on that,
Yeah,
actually.
I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so. I think some of them are close, but I don't think any of them have quite cracked into it as of yet.
I know there was recently a bit of like a rank redistribution, so I don't know how that shifted any of the upper rankings.
Yeah. Most of those ranks got shifted down a little bit, so we might actually see when some of our UW players get into SSL, I believe, if they aren't already. Not 100% sure on that. I haven't seen their ranks in a while because they don't really display them, you know?
But either way,
yeah,
that's definitely an intimidating thing to be going up against. 3 SSLs on the opposing team. The level of skill that comes out of a Supersonic Legend player is incredible. The ball control, the rotations, just the mind games, knowing where they're going, what they're doing.
Right.
So as that UW team, what do you think they got to be focusing on here? Definitely a little bit outskilled. So what do you think they should be really paying attention to, focusing?
I mean, so the thing about being a Supersonic Legend, if you're not queuing as a team, which, you know, University of Minnesota probably was queuing as a team, but just as a bit of context, to get to the highest rank in the game, you have to be really great on both sides of the game, both the mental game and the mechanical game, right? A lot of the times we talk about how you can get to a pretty high rank if you're only good at one or the other. So if you're really good at rotations but not so good on the ball, you can still make it pretty high. Same with if you're really good mechanically, but you kind of lack that game sense. These SSL players, they have both. So in order for UW to really come out on top here, I think they're really going to have to flex their teamwork, which is the one thing they have going for them. At a personal level and a mechanical level, they might be a little outmatched, but with good teamwork, they can definitely pull through.
Yeah, I mean, there's always an opportunity to make a passing play here or there, to make an opening. Demos are pretty important, I'd say, going up against a team that outskills you. Taking a player off the field is super important. So I think that if UW kind of focuses on using each other, using their outlets, and taking as many of those players off the field when, you know, the opportunity presents itself, I think they do have a fighting chance here.
Yeah, I mean, those demos are going to be important. We're going to have to see if they're going to use them. But yeah, let's get right into it with game number 1. Let's see how they do.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, so just the hallmark first off of really good teams, you know, are the shorter names, I feel like. And all of these players with quite short names. So
what they're missing is that period. There's always a period.
Absolutely,
I feel. Like Wizards got one.
Oh, and that was a chance, but is that Vixie? No, Vixie is passing it in. Is that Toby? Yeah, okay. Wizard
I'm gonna go with that was probably Toby.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, Wizards got that period, so maybe he can just use the power of the period at the end of his game to kind of bring the skill here.
Yeah, the period is important. And that's an opening, actually.
Oh my.
Bad miss there by the University of Minnesota, and UW takes an early lead.
I think you got to chalk that one up to nerves, would be the only thing that I could think of. Just this early into the match, you're getting into what's going to be a fun series.
I mean, either nerves or perhaps maybe just not quite warm. I know that not all of these players are always able to warm up before the matches because the matches can be at kind of weird times.
And with all of these players being college students, they've got lots of things to focus on besides Rocket League.
Or, you know, if they're not great students, maybe they don't have much else to focus on. Good flick there, but Wizard with a good save and a good bump too, actually, to relieve some pressure.
Got a little awkward. I think he's able to get up to that one. Bit back and
maybe
forth
a
here.
Double commit, and they're going to get punished for it.
Interesting out the gate here. UW,
very interesting.
UW finding a couple of opportunities here, a couple of mistakes made, and able to put 2 in very quickly.
Yeah, I don't know. What I'm seeing right now, like another miss there, those are not characteristic of Supersonic Budget players. Especially like the speed on the ball, they're not really getting to these balls as quickly. They're getting beat and they're making pretty bad mistakes. But as I say that, yeah, that's going to be a capitalize. A good outlet pass from, I believe that was Fat. And Mom just going to put that one away.
Yeah, just getting that over the head of, I believe Toby was the last back there. And just not able to get back on the boost there.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the really scary things I got to say in Rocket League is that counterattack. With only 3 people on the field at a time, you know, it's very easy to put all 3 forwards to commit on one offensive hit. And at that point, if they get to turn that around on you, if they're fast enough to it, you're not gonna have anyone back.
Yeah, as soon as you're committing multiple players to like a multiplayer passing play or some sort of bump and demo play, as soon as you're committing even more than 1 player, it becomes very dangerous on that counterattack. You're leaving 1 player back or even 0 players back, really putting all of your resources, all of your boost, all of your effort into 1 attack. So if you don't make that opportunity, it can easily come back to bite you.
I mean, that's the thing about passing plays, right? Yeah, they're really great at breaking down the defense, but they also leave you with no one on offense or no one on defense if the ball comes back your way.
Exactly. Now, I just want to highlight the ball control that Mom had there, coming off the wall, off the side wall, a little bit awkward of an angle for them. And they're able to keep that ball super close to their car and even make a passing play out of it. It just really shows what kind of skill and ball control these players have.
Yeah, I mean, these players are all exceptionally gifted at their game. I'm sure at least 1,000 hours or more. Oh, and that's a great demo.
A nice demo. I believe that was Fat there that made that one happen.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a very strong player here, not scoring any goals, but being a threat on the field, both as a passer, a demo player, and the goalkeeper.
It's definitely something that we want to see from UW here, not so much happening to them, but it definitely was a good play, and
yeah,
you can't diminish the other team's accomplishments here.
Oh, good demo there. Maybe looking for another bump and not going to get it. Puts Wizard into a one-on-one. It's going to go high, luckily.
Good choice from Wizard there to play that one slow, keep control. A good interception there too. Something I noticed just then, it does get talked about a lot by pro players, especially in...
great shot there to slip it past the defense.
I felt like that one was a bit unexpected, and UW was just caught on their heels there. It was a very nice shot, though. With a lot of power on that one and well placed.
I mean, that seems to be the name of the game so far. UW really getting scored on when they're not expecting shots. And I think that's also why that demo worked so well. I don't think they were expecting the demo to come in there. The shot came off of a pass that didn't look very threatening.
Do you think it's just a speed differential here, and UW's just not quite used to the speed of 3 SSL players all at once, or
it doesn't quite feel like that because they are managing to win some 50s here and get to the ball in time.
There's a good example right there. Just playing that well.
And, you know, as a college team, right, UW has played against strong teams in the past, so it's not like this is anything new to them, I would say.
Definitely a good point there. A ceiling shot opportunity there, not quite the touch them almost looking for.
And now it looks like UW is starting to scramble a little bit as the clock ticks down. Not enough time here to let them score again, and they are going to.
It looks like might be the nail in the coffin for game 1 here. 7 seconds left. Not too much you can do down by 2 goals.
Yeah, they're going to need a miracle here to make something happen, and unfortunately, a miracle is not coming. They might be able to pick one here, but the demo coming in, and he's going to tap that down.
think Vixie was just out of boost there and not able to get any power on a flick, and
or just trying to collect the ball even, you know? You can't go too fast while you're collecting the ball or it's just going to fly out of the way. So yeah, game 1, UW with an early lead, but kind of dropping the ball in the latter half. And I think without really, like, I don't think it's too hard to say that I think to me, University of Minnesota definitely looked like the better team there.
Yeah, I think that it's important to point out UW, those first 2 goals came off of mechanical errors. That was what we saw from them out the gate. We saw 2 Minnesota players, both whiffs on those open nets just because one player whiffed the ball. And as soon as they started to either shake off whatever nerves they had or just get warmed up, get their hands moving, it turned around on UW very fast, and they started having a bit more issues on the defensive half.
Yeah. And I think once that momentum shifted, right? Once University of Minnesota kind of found their groove, you could see UW starting to scramble a little bit, kind of looking a little out of place, a little maybe surprised there by that early opening that they saw, and they took advantage of it, right? And then they picked up the pace and they just weren't ready.
I think that's definitely a sign of a bit of a speed difference, in, especially in my opinion, that as soon as that speed difference starts to be noticeable and you get that one team that's just a little bit faster than the other team has to play catch up. They gotta pick up their pace, play at a level that they're not quite comfortable playing at. You get your groove as a Rocket League player. May you be a bronze who doesn't leave the ground, a plat who's just starting to get comfortable with aerials, or you're pushing up into the GC3 SSL level. You've got a comfortable play speed, a comfortable play style, and as soon as you play a team that outskills you, or even underskills you by a large enough margin, you start to lose your groove a little bit, and it can be hard to recover.
I mean, so much of Rocket League, right, is like, I would say, reactive. You have to play based on your opponent. And if your opponent isn't playing at the same speed that you're used to, it can just throw you off your game a little bit.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I mean, there is eventually a big enough gap that it goes one way very quickly.
Right? Yeah.
But at this level, UW has to play up to Minnesota's level. They have to play up to their speed. And we're seeing them do well. They are getting those 50s in the air, on the ground, and playing the balls when they need to, but the panic is definitely there. It definitely shows.
I think we're going to have to see here if they were able to recollect themselves a little bit after game 1. Now that they know, right, coming out of that second half, what University of Minnesota is capable of, we're going to have to see if they can adjust in time and react accordingly.
Yeah, I think without further ado, we should get into game 2 here. And
let's get right into it.
See just what they do.
Now, one thing to note here, right, PlayVS is a best of 5, so if University of Minnesota takes this game as well, that's going to be really bad, and they take the opening goal with only 4 seconds off the clock.
An amazing kickoff strategy there from Minnesota, losing that kickoff intentionally, playing that back to their player who was ready to collect on that sidewall, playing it forward. It's as easy as a shot into the net. UW not expecting it. And that's something that you see at higher levels that lower level players don't even think of. You don't always want to win that kickoff. You don't always want to win that 50 because you have a teammate behind you to collect. So Minnesota showcasing that there, losing that kickoff right into their players' hands, playing that.
I mean, it's really a more or a less dramatic version of the fake kickoff, right? Where you intentionally let the ball go all the way back.
Yeah.
If you can direct that ball to go back in a certain direction and you have your players ready for it, at that point, the shot isn't a matter of if you're mechanically gifted enough to hit that shot. It's just were you in the right place at the right time, because that is not a hard shot to hit.
Now, something I was going to cover that just came up just there we saw with Wizard in the last game, but I got sidetracked by a score, was playing that ball into the double touch. No matter where you're playing it, taking multiple touches off of a wall or just in the air can throw off your opponent so easily because they aren't expecting it. I've heard multiple pro players bring it up that it's as simple as just, if you touch that ball into the wall, try and follow it up with another touch. Try to make that second touch as meaningful as possible. But it's a very easy way to put your opponent on their heels and mess up their challenge they weren't expecting.
Yeah, and that's actually a really nice pass there. I like that by UW.
Yeah, definitely picking up the pace here a little bit. A nice fake there from Wizard.
Almost looked like a bit of a breezy or a musty of some kind. Passes it back center. Is there going to be a shooter? Great shot. Going to find the bottom corner.
UW looks like they're picking up the pace here on the level.
That is that offense that we talk about, right? The aggression from UW, just pounding the backboard and finding the open spots.
Dangerous
really great team on offense, and they're showing it against a team of SSLs who are, you know, one of the key hallmarks of a really good player is their defense. So able to break down this SSL defense is no small task.
Wizard low on boost here, looking like the last man back. This is a dangerous opportunity. Wizard gets up to that one and the bump, but it's not on target.
Bump, but yeah, the ball was not on target, so it's not going to do much other than delay the ball a little bit further.
Wizard with a bit of an awkward pinch out into another 50 into the corner. Dangerous ball here for UW, bouncing back and forth in front of the net. Just try to clear this one out.
And wow, I gotta say, like, that might have not been the cleanest touch, but the speed at which that player jumped up, I believe that was Mom, maybe? They went up for that ball so quickly before it even hit the side. And that's just been the hallmark of like a great player, you know, someone who knows what's going to happen, who can read the ball that well.
When you spend thousands of hours playing the same game in the same environment with the same physics and so on and so forth, eventually you just know it like the back of your hand. You know the way that that ball is going to bounce. You can read basically any ball in any situation. So these players, it just shows how much time and effort they put into mastering this game, and the skills and the mentality that come with it.
Yeah, and it's worth saying, right? I think that's one of the great things about Rocket League as a game to get into. Your skills will never really not be relevant. It's not like a MOBA, right? Where if you learn how to play a certain character, that character might become irrelevant in the next patch. It's really your skills and the way you learn how to play the game will always be relevant.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to say that Rocket League is a game that actively reflects time spent and effort. You aren't necessarily going to get very close pinch in there from Vixie. But as I was saying, you aren't going to get good at Rocket League by just playing the game, playing games against people, goofing off. You have to put in the effort to train your aerials, to learn rotations, to learn strategy. That ball's bouncing
far down. No one there in net to clear it away, and a bit of a scramble to get to it.
UW up a goal here with a minute left. They've shown very solid defense against this team of SSLs, Minnesota. They can just hold it out here for another minute.
It is worth saying that goal did come off of a pretty bad miss, and that's a great angle for the shot. UW not ready for it. And yeah, that could just be a case of, you know, the UW players not really respecting that the SSL players on the University of Minnesota can't really score from almost any angle if you give them time.
Yeah, I mean, if that were me in that situation, I would never expect
a shot like that, you know?
And it's definitely important to give these players, these SSLs, the respect that they kind of deserve here from gaining that rank. They know what's up, they know what they're doing, and they're a powerhouse on the field, to say the least.
Absolutely. I think it's also worth mentioning, I really like how these players are committing for the balls, even when they have zero boost. Something we talk about a lot is that the boost is not as important as being there to contest the ball.
We're going to see some overtime here, possibly. A dangerous ball.
Unless that goes in. No, Wizard clears it away. They have another chance to catch it, though. No, Wizard's going to tap it down. There shouldn't be a catch here. We're going to go to overtime.
Very close game, too. UW bringing it back. Not going down without a fight here.
UW needs to hold on to this game. I feel like after an overtime, if they go down 0-2, it's going to be very bad for them.
That bump from behind, throwing Wizard not only out of rotation, but playing that ball into Minnesota's hands. UW here definitely wanting to come out of this with a W. It is very demoralizing to be down match point against the opponent in a best-of-5 series, and Rocket League being such a mental game.
Something about, you know, something about knowing that you have to reverse sweep to win the game. It's just so much pressure.
I mean, it is a very, very difficult task to do. To win 3 games in a row, you could be playing a group of golds as a team of SSLs, and if you're put in a situation where you got to sweep them, that's a foreboding task, to say the least.
At the very least, it's more of a difficult task to consider than just straight up winning one game.
Exactly.
And that's a bad double commit for UW, actually, but Wizard there, the Yank, are going to clear it away and give them a little bit of time.
Rocket League is such a mental game as well. Being in this situation, your heart gets beaten, your hands get sweaty, the adrenaline up. Vixie in an awkward spot here, but he gets off that wall, a nice recovery, and a good clear across the field from Wizard. But as I was saying, it's such a mental game that being down at match point, at that point where if you lose even one more game, you are done.
Yeah, you almost just feel like it's over already,
exactly.
you know? Oh, so great save there, pinching it against his own post. And now University of Minnesota on the counterattack. That's not enough of a save.
So tough. Those balls are very difficult to clear out when you're moving directly away from the ball and all of your controls are mirrored. You are now working in reverse, essentially. That is probably the most awkward ball for me, and I would definitely bet to say that is the most awkward ball for a lot of people. And that is so tough, especially low on boost like Wizard was. I can't blame them for letting that one in.
I can't blame them for letting that one in, but that has got to be a demoralizer. To know you were so close and they saved the ball twice by the skin of their teeth and letting that go in. I mean, admittedly, it was a great shot, right? But I do think that did come down to just a little bit of nerves and the difficulty of controlling yourself when you're facing away from the ball. Skills like that aren't really common. Situations like that, right? The ability to practice their skills aren't as common in 3v3, which is the main competitive mode. So unless these players are really well versed in 1v1, ideally, and maybe 2v2, you know, shadow defense, something that's often brought up, the situation Wizard was in there isn't really something that a lot of players get the opportunity to practice, and it's much easier to be on the offensive end of that exchange.
Yeah, I mean, as the offensive player, you have control of the ball there. You're working actively, not reactively. So all of the actions that are occurring are what you want, right? As long as, of course, you have the control on the ball that you want in that situation. But
and if you're an
Wizard,
you probably have that control in spades.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely no lack of control there. But Wizard in that scenario is working reactively. He has to wait for the Minnesota player's touch and what they decide to do. There's so many options that Minnesota player has now that they have possession of the ball. They could fake, they could flick, they could pass, they could go for a demo. There's so many different things, and being in that scenario, you got to think of an option that covers all of those different scoring opportunities, and it's just so hard to do. So definitely good on the Minnesota player there to force Wizard into that scenario, catching him as the last one back. And Wizard just not being able to react in time. Can't blame him. That's a tough ball for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and the only thing I'm worried about is we're going to see what's that going to do to their mental going into Game 3 and now match point for University of Minnesota. UW has a daunting task ahead of them if they want to come out on top of this series. And after a loss like that in overtime, when you knew it was so close, it's got to be demoralizing.
Yeah, I mean, the adrenaline is definitely pumping, and they've got a lot of room to catch up here. So let's see if they can do it as we move on to Game 3. So if you're UW, you're down 2 games in a best-of-5 series. You're 1 game away from losing the series. What are you thinking right now? What are you doing to calm your mind, to really focus up and make sure that you're putting yourself in the best place possible? And as I say that, Mom, off of a very nice pass from what looked like Fat there.
That was a great outlet pass and a great finish, and UW nowhere to be seen on defense. Hopefully this is not a sign of things to come, but they just do not look like they are ready anymore.
Definitely could say that they are in a tough spot mentally here.
Also off of that kickoff, instead of having someone go for the ball, he immediately drove past the ball and went for a demo. Not normally a play that's advisable, I would say. Although perhaps they were thinking that's something at a higher level than I can.
Is that a South American kickoff or a Brazil kickoff there? That going for a demo off a kickoff. I don't know that it's a very common thing to occur in 3s, but it definitely is a bit of a competitive play in upper level 2s. They go for that demo off of the kickoff.
Yeah, I could see how that'd be quite good in 2. But an infield pass here, maybe Vixie on the ball. Not going to be able to get a double, but that is going to bounce down. And a good 50 by Toby.
Cleared out by Fat. Wizard with a nice little touch there to the corner, buying his teammates time to grab some boost and get back on this ball. Fat with the ball off the ceiling.
Shot opportunity, not going to get it. Cleared away.
Wizard was
Toby here with a good demo. That's an open net, but no, that's, I believe, Mom getting back just in time. Oh, no, that was Fat. My bad.
And Mom is repping the SSL decal from Season 1.
And a clean car design, that is. The titanium white octane with the SSL decal. Very clean design.
White is the, what is that, the gold of Rocket League players, essentially. You just, those white cars and those white items sell so quickly. Not something you you boast very often as a competitive player, is your car design, but sometimes us as casters like to comment on car design, especially with a player like Wizard on our team. I don't know if...
Infamous for having an array of unique designs, to say
Exactly. If you are a person who's constantly on these streams watching UW play Rocket League, and a scoring opportunity here, bar down.
Bar down, skis. Nothing you can do about that, especially after that double commit. UW looking a little bit flustered here, and they're down 2 goals in this game they need to win. They're down 3 goals in the game they need to win.
Same situation as the second kickoff there, not quite going in UW's favor as that ball sailed overhead into the net.
And
another
you know,
pass opportunity.
Great shot, Vixie there to save it.
Those saves, most of the time you prefer those to go to the corner if possible. Coming in that hot, there's not too much time to react and get that ball to go where you want, but playing the corner is definitely the safe option there.
I also really like that idea with the pass back there that we just saw from the University of Minnesota. Didn't work out for them, but very fast passing is almost impossible to defend against.
Wizard has been the king of the backboard defense over the course of this series. Just seeing very, very good backboard defense from Wizard. Just thought I would point that out.
That is something we see pretty often, I think. Wizard, a great player on defense. Does play an anchor position, I would say, more often than not.
Yes, I could definitely agree with that. Definitely the defensive rock for UW.
Yeah, we're seeing UW just get beat to some of these balls in the air. University of Minnesota just too fast as they slot in another one.
So awkward there, being in net there as Toby. That floater above the bar. You can't jump right away because you'll hit the crossbar. You gotta wait, and as Mom there, you have the ball control, you have the advantage there for sure, as you can wait for the UW player to jump.
You know, I don't want to call this game before it's over, but I don't see UW coming back from this deficit. They're looking a little lost, they look defeated, and their defense is just lacking right now, to be honest. They're getting beat on every side of the ball.
Definitely a tough comeback for UW. Rocket League is a game of surprises and mysteries. It definitely is a possibility. We've seen it happen before. We've seen it happen to UW. We've seen UW do it, and it's definitely not out of the picture. But a tough comeback. 1 minute left in this match.
And University of Minnesota honestly look like they're just stalling the game out. They're just pushing the ball around, starving UW of boost and preventing them from scoring.
If I was them in this situation, that is exactly what I would be doing. You're up match point, you're up in the game, you play as defensively as possible, you waste that time on the clock.
I mean, you play it safe, you just don't let them score. You have a 4-goal buffer.
That is definitely, and as I say that, 5-goal buffer. Tough game.
And yeah, this is I hate to call it early, but this is going to look like a loss for UW.
Something to comment on that Minnesota is doing so well, and we have been talking about. You don't think of it, especially as a lower ranked player, when you're not used to being up in a game. You want to get those goals off. Not really thinking of it too much as a team game, but when you're up, even 1 goal, even 2 goals, you've got a lead. You don't have to play offensively. You see a lot of teams and a lot of players heavily overcommit on the offense up in a game, and it swiftly goes away. They lose that lead and end up losing the game. So Minnesota doing a great job of here of playing patiently, playing their lead.
Once they got that 5-goal buffer, they just didn't have to do anything. They just wasted that entire minute and a half, and that's going to do it. UW getting swept 0-3 to the University of Minnesota.
That game was rough, to say the least, but game 1 and 2 were very good games, very fun to watch, very competitive.
Game 2 especially, game 2 is so close. It could have gone either way. And that's why I feel like this is one of those cases, right, where knowing that UW got swept, it doesn't really tell the full story of what happened, because I don't think that University of Minnesota was honestly that far and away a better team. I think they were, don't get me wrong, but I think the disparity, you would not guess based on watching, especially game 2. If you had watched game 2, you would not have guessed that series was a sweep.
Yeah, I think game 2 was so close. UW off of game 1, a bit of panic, a bit of just kind of overall lostness, a bit outpaced, a bit outskilled in game 1, not quite expecting that out of those players. And like we commented on before, not giving them quite the respect that they deserved as Rocket League players. But going into game 2, knowing what Minnesota could put on the board and what they could do as a team, UW definitely stepped it up, brought the speed, and really played their hearts out for game 2. Such a close game going into overtime. We saw almost 2 minutes of overtime and ending on an unfortunate play, a very tough play from Wizard. And I think that was just kind of the nail in the coffin right there. Very demoralizing to be up early in the game against players that honestly outskill you, and then go into overtime with those same players, which is very tough to do, holding out for so long and then losing in overtime. I think that was just the one that kind of got you.
That's got to do your mental in, you know? It's hard to keep your mental up after a loss like that. That was so close.
Yeah, but, I mean, any sport requires heavy mental activity, and that applies to esports as well. If you're getting down and you're doubting yourself, baseball, you're not going to be playing as well. You're not going to be hitting the ball. And the same goes for Rocket League. You're going to be in your own head, making simple mistakes, rotation errors, because you're really overthinking it. And it can go very poorly very quickly. Absolutely. I think that's what we saw from UW there in game 3.
Yeah. I mean, that game 3 was just as much of a landslide as you're going to find, I think, against a team like UW, which is honestly quite rare to see, a team that good losing that badly. But props to both teams. Congratulations to the University of Minnesota. They played very well, and it's a well-deserved victory for them in week 3 of the PlayVS series. Now, thank you everyone so much for joining us today on our University of Washington Twitch channel and spending time with our production crew, players, and talent. Remember to check us out on our socials at U of W Esports or on our Discord, which you can do so using the command in chat below. Now, it's still pretty sunny outside, and we've had some good weather lately, so if you can do so safely, make sure to get out there and enjoy some sun. I know we all love esports, but I think we would all benefit from being outside for a little bit after a long year of being indoors.
A little bit of sunshine always does well, and the sun staying out as long as it is. Get out there, do some activity, wear your masks.
Yeah, and, please wear your masks.
And have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night, everyone. We'll hope to see you here next week, and until then.
It began with 3 pillars, the foundation for UW Esports, pushing ourselves to greater heights.
Community.
Career.
Competition.
Oh yeah. Reminds me of Toronto Defiant Yakpung. Reminiscent of that, of just juggling everyone into the corner there.
Maybe that'll be the game changer here for UW.
Maybe. Oh my goodness, what an angle by Wizard.
Wow. What a shot.